So this morning I came across an article written by Pete Doherty where he interviewed Brian Gutekunst and asked him lots of different questions about the Packers. And I want to focus on a few different questions and go through and read them here and show you guys exactly what Brian Gutekunst had to say. I'm not going to get to everything because it's a pretty long article, but I want to start off here with the first question he asks, and this is what he says. He says, how do you view Rodgers' contract? A 1-year deal? Do you expect him to play at least the guaranteed portion 2 years, 3 years? Then here's Gutekunst's response. He says, I certainly think he's got a lot of good football left in him, certainly beyond that contract, I believe. At the same time, Aaron obviously has played as long as he has. He's going to have some decisions to make year to year. I think that's how he's probably looking at it. I think every year we're going to try to live in the now and try to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. Then every year, we'll sit down and chart out the best course. The last 2 years, winning the MVP, playing at the level he's playing at. For those of you that have been out to camp, there's no deterioration of his physical skills. Everybody can see that. We're excited not only for this year, but for what he can bring to the table the next few years coming. So I think the most important thing from that comment from Brian Gutekunst is the fact that he's saying they are going to sit down year to year and sort of figure out what's happening next. So as we sort of already knew, it's even though Rodgers signed that 3-year extension for $150 million, it's still sort of a year-to-year thing. So he could leave after 1 year. He could stay for 3 years. There's really no concrete time for exactly how long Rodgers is going to play, which I think is fine. You know, for Rodgers, every year he has to figure out if he wants to return once again. And then he says here, you don't think he'd go one and done, do you? Brian Gutekunst says, he's an interesting guy. I don't think so because I think he has too much good football in him. But at the same time, I know he has a lot of other interests as well. He's played a long time, but I believe he'd like to keep playing. But I do believe guys that have reached that level he has for as long as he has need to probably think about going year to year. So it's definitely a year-to-year thing for Aaron Rodgers, which I think we sort of already knew, but now it's sort of confirmed by Brian Gutekunst. And then I want to read a question here about Jordan Love, which I find very interesting. So Doherty says, do you think Jordan Love will be a winning quarterback in the NFL? The question we all want to know. Brian Gutekunst says, I do. I think he's on his way. He's doing some very good things. It's funny, every player in the National Football League kind of hits their comfort zone. And when they do, that's when you usually see things start to take off. I think we saw some of that this preseason. He was certainly much more aggressive in his decision-making and felt more comfortable. Year 3 seems to be a window for a lot of quarterbacks for where things start to slow down a little bit, particularly for a guy who hasn't played in those 3 years very much. A lot of guys are playing, no different than when Aaron was coming through. I think it was year 3 as a scouting staff where we started to see a different level of play from him. Then obviously year 4, that first year he played very, very well, but we weren't winning. I think halfway through that second year he was a starter, the learning how to win thing really took off. I think in the middle of that second year, we were about 500 team over his first 2 years as a starter, but once it all clicked, he took off. I think Jordan is on the right track. He's got a lot of growth still left. I'm glad he's got a real good quarterback room. I'm glad we had a full preseason and he had a lot of snaps. That was really important for him after getting hurt last year. I think he's on the right track, but winning games in the National Football League is a hard job. And until you actually get out there and do it, I don't know if you ever really know. So Brian Gutekunst believes that Love will be a winning quarterback in the NFL. And after his third season, or coming into his third season, Gutekunst is basically saying, as LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers have also said, that Jordan Love looks a lot more comfortable out there after having now played 2 years in Green Bay. So there's still lots of uncertainties here when it comes to Rodgers and Love after this year. As Gutekunst said, it's going to be a year-to-year thing. We're going to see what Rodgers wants to do. If he wants to leave next year, it's probably Jordan Love's team. But at that point, if Rodgers comes back next year, it gets a little uncertain for what's going to happen with Love just because of his contract situation. And then here's the final question I want to end off with, and it says this. What do you do with Love next spring if Rodgers comes back? You have to decide whether to exercise Love's fifth-year option for 24 in May. If Rodgers comes back, do you have to trade Love then? Do you trade Rodgers? Can you keep both without exercising the fifth-year option and take your chances on Love leaving as a free agent in 24? Gutekunst says, there are a lot of hypotheticals in there. We'll get through this year and see where we're at in the end. We're thinking about those things and understand the options that are available to us. When we get there, we'll make those decisions. The quarterback position is obviously extremely important for us, always has been, always will be, so we put a lot of time into that and how we go about it. But again, from what we've seen from Jordan, we are really excited about that, and it really will depend a lot on what Aaron Rodgers wants to do moving forward. We'll let this year play out, and when we get to next offseason, we'll start to really think about what we're going to do there. So right now, we're going to focus on the present, see what happens after this year with Rodgers and Jordan Love. So to finish off today's video, I want to go over who the final players are on the Packers practice squad. I talked about it a couple days ago. Lots of guys who have been signed so far. There was one that I had incorrect where I saw a report come out that Ramiz Ahmed was signed, but apparently it wasn't official. So I apologize for making that mistake. But here are the final 16 players now currently on the Packers practice squad. We have Danny Etling, Patrick Taylor, Tyler Goodson, wide receiver Travis Fulgham and Juwan Winfrey, tight end Sean Byer, offensive lineman Caleb Jones, defensive lineman Jack Heflin and Chris Slayton, outside linebacker Darius Hamilton and Kobe Jones, inside linebacker Ray Wilborn, and then cornerbacks Rico Gafford, Keandre Thomas, Benji Franklin, and then we have safety Micah Abernathy made his way back onto the practice squad. So that is everything for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and I'll see you guys next time.